was also said, whoever divorces his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you that everyone who divorces his wife except on the ground of sexual immorality makes her commit adultery, and whoever marries a divorced woman commits adultery. Again, you have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform to the Lord what you have sworn. But I say to you, do not take an oath at all, either by heaven, for it is the throne of God, or by the earth, for it is his footstool, or by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great King. And do not take an oath by your head, for you cannot make one hair white or black. Let what you say be simply yes or no. Anything more than this comes from evil. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. And if anyone would sue you and take your tunic, let him have your cloak as well. And if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who begs from you. And do not refuse the one who would borrow from you.
Jesus set up some major contrasts here, Matthew.
Yeah, he started his message by laying out what brings you happiness and blessing. God intended the law to help people live according to his will so that he could bless them. But the words God gave to Moses have been explained away by our scribes. They've given the laws their own interpretation.
This is absurd. No one has explained anything away. What our forefathers did was elaborate on the commandments given so that the law could function as intended. People need to know the rules.
I don't think that's entirely accurate. The rules they created may actually be working directly against the purpose of the law. Just look at what Jesus said here about marriage. God's intention was for a man and woman to love each other and remain faithful unto death do you part. Just think what kind of blessing this would bring to their lives together and to the family.
Let's listen to that again. God's intention was for a man and woman to love each other and remain faithful all their lives. Just think what kind of a blessing this would bring.
But most people would rather follow their desires than God's law. They allow selfish thoughts into their hearts. And then coldness comes in. That's why the scribes started coming up with interpretations that made divorce more and more easy and accessible. And now, in our time, a man can practically divorce his spouse without any real reason.
Let's listen to that again. Many people would rather follow their desires than God's law. They allow selfish thoughts into their hearts. And that's why the scribes started coming up with interpretations.
So now we're in a situation where as long as we follow the elaborate, detailed rules for the outward, so there is proof of our religious excellence, we're free to live according to our desires.
But instead of the blessings that God wanted to give us, we end up with suffering in marriages and families. The contrast between what God intended for humanity and what the Pharisees and scribes are leading people to is enormous.
Oh, what?
And then Jesus took the example of swearing oaths.
And what's wrong with that? It's nothing but emphasizing that what we say is true.
But why would we need to emphasize it? It has never been God's intention for us to speak untruths at any point.
Exactly. The problem is that it's incredibly easy for us humans to have a double standard. It just comes so naturally, especially when we're dealing with something that affects us or influences the impression others have of us. What we say is usually colored by who we're talking to and the impression we want to give.
It's incredibly easy for us humans to have a double standard. What we say is usually coloured by who we're talking to and the impression we want to give.
Yeah, so maybe we're not directly lying, but what we're saying also can't be entirely trusted. And what do you think that does to relationships?
It does a lot of damage. If all people were committed and truly focused on living for God from the heart, so that everything people said could be trusted, society would look very different.
And on top of that, Jesus brought up how we react when someone does us wrong.
But didn't you hear that he was going against God himself? What he quoted, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, was sent to Moses by God. How can Jesus claim this doesn't apply?
It was our judges who were supposed to consider and determine punishment when someone did something wrong. The judges were supposed to know the law and stand in God's presence so that their decisions had God's blessing. But even this command from God has been distorted and interpreted in such a way that individuals can take matters into their own hands.
And so people have an excuse for repaying evil with personal revenge. In other words, more evil. It's our own angered minds that consider and react, not judges who understand God's law and intention.
For each one of us, the command to love our neighbor as ourselves applies. Now, take a moment to imagine. How would society be if everyone genuinely loved those around them from the heart? If everyone refrained from judgment and punishment, leaving such matters to those who can judge righteously according to God's law?
How would society be if everyone truly loved those around them from the heart?
We saw exactly this in Jesus. In things that concerned him personally, he was like a lamb. He didn't seek revenge. He did exactly what he spoke about here. He turned the other cheek. He humbled himself when he was accused and was like a lamb.
Like a lamb? Have you forgotten how he was raging outside the temple, overturning tables and driving people out with a whip? I'd never seen a man so furious. Quite a lamb.
But that wasn't about him, about his person. No one had done anything to him personally. But in matters concerning God and God's domain, we certainly saw both zeal and anger.
I believe the essence of what Jesus said is that our issue isn't how others behave. The problem is the evil dwelling within us. And we can't do anything about the evil within by implementing a multitude of detailed rules that only regulate outward actions.
Exactly. We've talked about how Jesus said that to enter the kingdom of heaven, our righteousness must go beyond that of the Pharisees. Righteousness must come from within, from the heart. There must be a genuine conversion in my heart.
Our problem isn't how others behave. The problem is the evil dwelling within us.
Right, a wholehearted change of heart. And in return, we are given the promises that God will be our Father. He takes care of our concerns and needs, so we don't have to spend our energy demanding our rights. Responding to evil with evil has never been a solution. God has forgiven us all our transgressions, so why shouldn't we forgive those who wrong us?
Yes, he has boundless riches and has promised that he'll provide us with everything we need in this world. So We have no reason to hold back in giving and showing kindness. Giving and kindness will always be filled back up on the other end.
Have you heard of the way? Yes, the new living way, which was opened by Jesus, God's Son. Have you heard he came down, took all sin on himself? Have you heard how he wrestled and won? For the way Jesus opened was through his own flesh. All sin met its judgment and death. When he cried, "It is finished," on Calvary's cross, the way then was opened for us. With strong crying in prayer, he cried out to his God, and with anguish and tears battled through. From his brow his sweat came forth like great drops of blood, for not once his own will would he do. For the way Jesus opened was through his own flesh. All sin met its judgment and death. When he cried, "It is finished," on Calvary's cross, the way then was opened for us. You follow him daily, denying yourself? Will you walk on this new living way? Follow him who, when hated, responded in love. Will you walk in his steps every day? For the way Jesus opened was through his own flesh. All sin met its judgment and death. When he cried, "It is finished," on Calvary's cross, the way then was opened for